Well, good morning. Uh, this is my last G7 meeting as High Representative, and I couldn't expect it to take place in such a challenging situation, both in Ukraine and in the Middle East and other places in the world like Sudan. Yesterday we discussed a lot about the situation in the Middle East, and I explained the ministers and our Arab friends my assessment of the situation, because I'm coming from Lebanon. I was in Lebanon, I was in Jordan, and I got first-hand information of what's going there. In Lebanon, there is no excuses for a ceasefire. On the proposal agreement brokered by the US and France, Israel has all security concerns. There is not an excuse for not implementing a ceasefire. Otherwise, Lebanon will fall apart. In Lebanon, there are almost 4,000 civilian victims. All the south of Lebanon has been destroyed, fully destroyed. The United Nations forces, UNIFIL, I was with the General Lazaro, who is commanding the UNIFIL, are under attack. The Lebanese armed forces also are under attack of the Israeli army. Several of their soldiers, almost 50 of their soldiers, have been killed. A ceasefire is absolutely necessary if we want hundreds of thousands of displaced people to go back home. Well, to go back home, there is no more homes. There is no more places to go, because the south of Lebanon is fully destroyed. There's nothing left there. And not in combat. It's not because they are fighting. It's because they are imploding, voluntarily destroying all houses. 100,000 houses destroyed. So let's put pressure on Israel in order to approve the proposal of ceasefire today. But I heard voices from the extremist ministers of the Israeli government willing to continue the fight, willing to continue the bombing. And every night Beirut is under severe bombing. So let's hope that today Netanyahu government will approve the ceasefire agreement proposed by the US and France. No more excuses, no more additional requests. Stop this fighting, stop killing people, and let's start thinking on peace. This is in Lebanon. In Gaza, the situation is still worse. It's still worse. In North Gaza, there are about 250,000 people completely abandoned. The United Nations coordinator explained me from Monday, it means from yesterday, we have to stop because we don't have any food, we don't have any fuel, we cannot enter. The humanitarian aid is fully impeded. By whom? By the Israeli army. Let's say the truth. Let's put a name. The humanitarian aid is completely impeded. No more humanitarian support entering in North Gaza. And the United Nations are completely unable to continue supporting these people. That's why yesterday I told my colleagues, to the Arabs who came to discuss with us, to the Europeans, it's good to continue saying nice words, but let's act. Why don't we go to the United Nations Security Council, putting on the table a resolution just about humanitarian support to these people? The two-state solution will come later. Everything will come later. But we are talking about weeks or days. Go to the Security Council and call to the conscience of the world in order to avoid the tragedy. Yes, hunger is being used as an arm against people who are completely abandoned. Let's go to the Security Council and call to the countries of the world, this cannot happen. And I know that there are a statement which is being discussed today, and maybe it will be agreed between the Europeans and the Arabs in order to push in this direction and to tell that the people who impede the humanitarian support has to become accountable. Let's see. Then there is the issue of the International Criminal Court. You know that the US is in a completely different position because the US has not signed the Rome Convention. Okay, the US has not signed the Rome Convention, but all member states of the European Union have signed the Rome Convention. And it is not something that you can pick and choose. You cannot applaud when the court goes against Putin and remain silent when the court goes against Netanyahu. This is the typical example of two ways and two measures by which we are so much criticized. I asked the member states of the European Union to fulfill their obligations under international law, like it or not. The International Criminal Court is a court, as powerful as any national court. And if the Europeans don't support the International Criminal Court, then there will not be any hope for justice. Well, let's see today which is the final result of our discussions, but I want to be clear on that. It is not an alternative. It is not I like it or I don't like it. It's an obligation. And I hope that at the end of the day, we will be able to say clearly that the Europeans will fulfill our obligations under international law. The US will have to do whatever they want to do. But I want a statement saying the Europeans will fulfill our obligations under international law. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Borrell, would you expect from agreement between Israel and Lebanon? The first question. The second one is about the international court. There's no unity on G7.
But I think I've been talking about it.
Yeah.
I think I explained that the International Court is a court, and their arrest warrants has to be implemented. If someone doesn't do it, it is breaking international law. It is breaking international law. Well, we, the Europeans, we will say, I hope, that we will fulfill all our obligations under international law. All our obligations under international law includes the court, the criminal court. All our obligations under international law includes our obligation with respect to the International Criminal Court, because it is part of our international obligations. And about the ceasefire, I couldn't say more clearly. There is a proposal on the table, brokered by the US and by France, which gives Israel all the security commitments they were asking for. There is not excuse to reject this proposal. And if they reject this proposal, then I'm sorry, I don't see what else we can do.
What role are you playing in a potential committee to monitor the Lebanon-Hezbollah agreement?
The agreement foresees the participation of France in the implementation committee. The committee will be chaired by the US. The Lebanese accepted that the US would be chairing the committee, but asked for France to be on that committee. This is one of the points that are still missing, because Israel doesn't want France to be part of it.
So is the Lebanese that asked?
The Lebanese are asking for it. France wants to help. The only purpose of France is to participate in order to make it implementable. If the Lebanese ask, and they are asking for it, the Speaker of the Chamber, Mr. Berry, told me clearly, we want France to be in the implementation committee. So France is ready to participate, unless there is an Israeli veto. If there is not an Israeli veto, France will be there, and the implementation will be easier.
UNIFIL and the buffer zone, Italians are proposing a two-way buffer zone.
UNIFIL is doing a great job. I was discussing with the General Lazarus, who explained all the difficulties they found on implementing this task. We have to rethink the way the UNIFIL works, but I am strongly supporting the participation of UNIFIL on keeping peace and stability in the South Lebanon.
What does the ceasefire
How
deal
many
foresee?
countries will be involved in this ceasefire? Italy too? To guarantee the ceasefire?
It is France and the US.
Just them?
Mr. Borrell, did the G7 do a good job to make the help for Ukraine Trump-proof? Is that done?
Ukraine is this morning. Yesterday it was the Middle East.
Ukraine safe if Trump comes in?
Look, we don't speculate. We have to continue working in order to give Ukraine the support that Ukraine needs. We Europeans, we are acting independently of what Mr. Trump wants to do. We have our commitment, we have our capacity. When we claim that we have a strategic autonomy, the least that we can say and do is continue supporting Ukraine. We are not pending of Mr. Trump orders. Certainly, what the US will do is very much important. But from our side, we have to continue putting all our capacity at the service of the Ukrainians' defense. And the Ukrainian foreign minister is here to explain us the situation, and we will renew our engagement on supporting Ukraine. This is the position of the European Union, at least until Friday, when I will leave. I hope it will be the same on Monday.
So Trump has announced new tariffs. What would they mean for Europe?
Well, it's not a good news. It's not a good news. If everybody starts putting tariffs to everybody, Mexico, Canada, China, Europe, the world economy will be in a very difficult circumstances because they are going to stop. They're going to stop the dynamics of the growth. So we are ready. We are prepared to do the countermeasures. I will not be in the Commission from Monday, so I cannot tell you what the Commission will do. I cannot engage the Commission from Monday. But one thing is clear. If Trump opens a new trade war, starting putting tariffs to everybody, is not going to help the world economy. It's going to create difficulties to everyone, starting with the Americans themselves. Thank you.